The 1920s. It was a great time for the US stock market. After a recession very early on in the decade, the market kept moving higher and higher. This decade came to be known as the Roaring Twenties. The Dow Jones Industrial Average, or DJIA, increased from 63 points in August 1921 to 381 points in September 1929. Those numbers, when stated that way, may not sound as impressive as they actually are. Let me give you another perspective. That is a whopping 504% increase in 8 years. Think about it. Still not impressed? Let me bring it closer to home. If the same thing were to happen 100 years later, that is in this decade, 2020s, the S&P 500 would go from 4,522 in August 2021 to 32,748 in September 2029. As of today, it stands at 5,137. So, it has a long way to go, and it needs to work a hell lot harder. Now, just to be clear, this is not a prediction. It is just an example to explain what happened during the Roaring Twenties. This would have been a happy ending if the story ended right here, but it doesn't. If the 1920s were a big party that just kept going on, the party eventually had to end. And that end started to sneak in slowly at first in the month of September 1929. Eventually, in October, it all came to a head. On 24th of October, the US stock market crashed by an 11% at the opening bell. This day came to be known as the Black Thursday. Market participants scrambled and they tried to stabilize the market. While they were initially successful, they eventually failed. And on 28th of October, the market crashed by another 12%. This day came to be known as the Black Monday. The panic peaked the next day, which is Black Tuesday, when the market crashed by another 11%. Have you been counting? Don't, because this is just the beginning. While the market would see a short-term recovery, it never recovers from the shock that it experienced in late October of that year. From April 1930 until July 1932, the market saw a loss of, 89% of its value. This period basically wiped out everything that the market had gained during the Roaring Twenties and then some more. This was the onset of the Great Depression. While the Roaring Twenties saw almost every market rise, during the Great Depression, almost every market collapsed. Global markets involving international trade collapsed. Labor markets crashed. US unemployment rose to 25%. Some countries globally saw unemployment rise to 33%. Situation in Canada was relatively better, but still, unemployment reached 19.3% in 1933. Not only that, the food markets also became entirely dysfunctional. People had to queue up in queues for something as essential as bread. Real estate prices dropped by about 35% in the US. All in all, life became miserable during this dark time in human history. Not only that, the aftershocks just kept coming one after another. And it would take another 25 years for the markets to recover out of this crash. And by some theories, this period created the preconditions for the onset of another dark time in human history, the Second World War. While markets may not define everything about life, it has the power to change the course of human history. And if there is such a powerful force out there, you must ask the question, do we really understand it? Do we really understand markets? That is the question we will deal with in today's episode. What is a market? How we shape it, and how it shapes us.